So to recount this is not something I wanted to do, or it's not easy. So I was pregnant. I was by myself. It was at the height of COVID. I was watching the show Red Dwarf in my bedroom here. It's a British comedy. I love that show. It's funny. And there's going to be people that are going to say, Robin, you live next door to a nurse. You have a phone. How did you not get help? Robin, you've given birth before. You've had 3 C-sections. You've given birth to 4 children. One of the C-sections was twins. Do you know what it's like to have a live baby kicking in you? Alive? I even practiced going to the hospital. I was on my own. I was trying to stay isolated to keep from getting sick. It was Christmas Eve, and a few days before, I don't even know, I lost time. I lost track of time. I kept having these contractions, and yet they were like orgasms. The Bible describes it best. I never cried out, I just moaned. And I couldn't find my phone. I was half out of my mind. I got up. I needed to pee, you know? I'm so used to flushing the toilet. I laid back down. I really didn't know what was going on. I remember feeling between my legs. It was hot. It was so hot. And my hands were cold and soothing. And I felt his head come out in my hand. I was so out of it. I had no idea what was going on. I just remember saying, it's not time yet. He was face up. His little hand, his little head, in my hand, I could feel his brain. The skull wasn't quite formed. If I'd have been in a hospital, he would have made it. And I needed help, and there was none. There was none. And I was so out of my mind. It wasn't time, and I gently pushed him back in. It was just his little head had popped out. I was so out of my mind. I was so exhausted. I had no idea what was going on. I knew Satan would show up. I'd read the Bible. He prepared me for it. And I knew what was going to happen. I understood. I understood what was going to happen. I understood. I passed out. I passed out. And I woke up like I always do, and I needed to pee, and I went into the bathroom, and I went potty, and I flushed the toilet, and I was like, oh my god, I lost him, and I didn't even, I heard his head hit the toilet, and I flushed it out of habit. I was so devastated. I went to the house and I went into one of my son's rooms where I was looking for help, but they weren't here. They weren't here, and I fell on the floor. I don't even remember doing that. I came back in here and I passed out. And I don't even remember. The only reason I know that that's where I went was the next morning. I heard the spirit say, "Get up, get up. We need to get out of here. It's not safe anymore." And I drove to Turner Falls. It was so beautiful. The sun was shining. And he said, "Oh, you need to get back now. We need to get back now." I was trying so hard after I'd lost him. I asked the spirit what to do. He says, "That's okay. I'll put him back in. I'll get him. I'll get him out of the... I'll put him back in." And I said, "Okay. Okay, you'll take care of me." And I laid back down. Then I kept holding in. I didn't realize I was only holding in the placenta. I kept trying to keep him safe. He was gone. He was gone. And he wasn't. I could hear him. And then Satan would keep showing up and beating me and beating me. He was so angry. He was beating me, and all his demons were beating me. I would roll on my side and try to protect him. I gave birth to him over and over. God rewinding time, and Satan had to acknowledge it. He had to acknowledge that he'd been born. Everyone in heaven had to acknowledge that he'd been born. It was so bad. The next day, I went through it again. The next night. And he told me to go to Turner Falls again. God does things twice. There's these passages in the Bible. They talk to you once and then twice, and then you go to the next town because you're dealing with fools, or dealing with people, not fools, but people that were always going to be in disbelief. So he made me do it twice. The fleeing, I woke up another day and he told me to get up. I didn't really wake up. I felt I was dead. To get up. I don't know which happened first, but at one point I was on the floor in the hall. And he said, "Robin, I'm here. You have to pull the placenta out." And I said, I can't do that. I can't do that. You're going to have to help me. And he said, "Okay." I said, "I'm not going to look." He said, "Okay, just reach down and grab what's left of the cord. And you're going to need to pull." And I said, "Okay, I'll pull with the contractions." And I didn't look. I couldn't bear to look. And I pulled it out. And he said, "Okay, now you need to pick it up and you need to put it in the trash." Everything is going to be okay. He said, Robin, they have to believe by faith. If they had my body, they would do all kinds of things to it. And it's just a body. It's just a vessel. It's just a vessel, honey. It's okay, I'm here. It's okay. He said, it's okay, I'm here. Somewhere in all this, my mom showed up. I was very hungry. I was starving. I put some beans on to cook and they burned. Satan was horrible. He told me that I had eaten my son and I hadn't done that. He told me I needed to throw him up and I said I didn't do that. He was saying so many horrors to me and so many horrible things. He would accuse me of so many horrible things. He had fun torturing me. And God woke me up and told me to flee. There was something wrong with the house. And he was trying to kill me. There's gas. A gas in the house. Not from the stove, but from a leak from the ceiling. And if you look, there was a $4,000 or $5,000 gas bill during that time. It was trying to kill me. It was trying to kill me. And when he told me to leave, he said, get your passport, we're going to the airport. And I drove to the airport. I couldn't take anything with me. I was to rely on the Lord. I didn't have hardly any money. And I was supposed to get to Israel and I couldn't. It was so dark. It was the height of the death of COVID. He had a rapture not too long after, calling people home. I went to Georgia because I knew it was an international airport. I tried to go to Canada because I'd been to Israel before and we flew through Canada, but I couldn't get a ticket to Canada. Anyway, that was a long story. But I ended up driving nonstop, fleeing. And there were people that the Spirit wanted me to see. Souls to save. That's for another video. So I finally drove home. I finally got back in less than a week before the new year. It was anything for the Lord. He wanted to go home. The world got so dark and so evil and so full of sin. He told me, Robin, I wanted to go home. It's not your fault. He said, the Bible was written. I left, he said. I fled. And, honey, it's not your fault. He tells me he loves me all the time. I did all I could. I kept trying to get to the hospital. By faith, he kept saying, by faith, honey. It's by faith. If you believe you're pregnant, you didn't have sex with anybody. God descended upon you, and it's by faith. My husband we had separated in May of 2021, and he was living at the ranch with the kids, and I was staying isolated because of COVID. I gave birth to God's Son. Whether you believe me or not doesn't matter. What's going to take place is already written in the Bible. And it's already Satan's reign. Even he denies it. I love you very much. No one should have to go through what I went through. And I'm not done. I'm going to be persecuted by Satan. And it's so bad that it's noted in the Bible. But I stayed for you, for all of you, for my children, and for him to return. I stayed for you, and I love you very much, and I forgive everything.